Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to create a list of works cited using Noodle tools. Anytime that you incorporate someone else's writing into your work, you need to give credit to that person. The last thing you want to do is inadvertently use somebody else's words and pass them off as your own. That's called plagiarizing, and it's also stealing. So we want to avoid that however we can. A great tool, Noodle Tools, is a great website for you to use to jot down the information that you need in order to properly give credit to pretend to source information for the novel The Giver. So I'm going to put in Lois Lowry's The Giver in as the title. You can keep it as MLA, and junior is fine. So once you put the title in up here, you go ahead and click submit. When this loads, it's going to indicate to you that you have some options up here at the top. So you have projects, which is where it just came from. Then you have dashboard, sources, note cards, and paper. For today, we're going to focus our attention here on sources. So you would click that tab. It is going to ask you, once this loads here, to create a new citation. If you have not already created a citation for this project, you will not see anything listed down here. Once you have a collection, you're going to see your sources listed here underneath that project name when you click the Sources tab. So what you want to do is you want to go over here and you want to click Create New Citation. You'll see there's a pop-up window that appears that asks you to identify the type of source that you are going to cite. It is important that you choose the correct type, okay? You have database, you have website, print or in hand, viewed or heard live, so file, app, ebook. Here, obviously, this is for anything that you watch, like a YouTube video or something you hear live. Databases usually are things that you search through in the library, and then you have websites, obviously. Here is print or in hand. We're going to be studying a book today, so we would click on that. And down you will see a number of items that are print material. So anything you hold in your hand that you can read on the paper, magazines, newspapers, journals, etc. Those are all going to show up here. For today, we're going to click on book. When this loads, you're going to see a form that asks you to fill in a variety of information about the book. Some information will be relevant to what you're citing. Some information might not be relevant. So you need to keep in mind that you're going to probably have some blank spaces down here. In order to find out what information you do have, you want to find what you can on your source in terms of the author, in terms of the publisher. The best way to do that when dealing with a book is to look in the front of the book. You can see we have The Giver here. If you look through the first couple of pages or so, usually around the title page area, you're going to see a page that looks like this. We're going to call it the information page. Can you see that? Okay. This information page has everything that you need, usually, to fill in the appropriate information for the book that you're citing. You're going to see, no matter what source, what type of source you're citing, you want to keep an eye out for this symbol. This is the copyright symbol. It's kind of like an @ symbol, but there's a C inside of it. This will show you when the source was copyrighted and to whom. And around that area, too, is most likely where you're going to find any publishing information that is available, too. So you want to keep an eye out for that C. Today, we're going to be citing a book, as we mentioned. So the first thing we do is come down here next to name in terms of contributors. You click this pull-down menu, and there's a couple of different options. There's author, compiler, editor, illustrator. So if you're dealing with like a newspaper or a magazine, you might have to cite an editor rather than an author. But for today, we're going to click on author, and we're going to input the information, making sure we spell it correctly. So Lois, no middle name is listed, so we leave that blank. And then the last name is Lowry. Again, no suffix, so we leave that blank too. Again, we can leave some of these lines blank. It's okay. If it's not applicable, we don't need to fill it in. Then you scroll on down and you fill in the title of the book. This is required because you need to know the title of your source. The book's title is The Giver. You want to double check and make sure that you are capitalizing the title correctly. So you want to look on the cover, on the inside cover title page, and make sure that all the words that are capitalized there are also capitalized in your citation when you place it here. Okay? Then you see spaces for volume, title, and number. This usually is when you're dealing with a set of encyclopedias or journals when there's more than one volume. That is not applicable to us today, so we're not going to click on that or fill anything in, rather. We do need to fill in publisher. Publishing companies usually end in INC a lot of the times. So you're looking for Publishing Inc. or Corporation or things like that. For today, our publisher is Bantam Doubleday Dell Publishing Group. So that's a mouthful, but that's okay. It will all fit in here. Even though it looks like it's a small little line, you can fit all that information in, and you should. So you go ahead and fill that in. Bantam Doubleday Dell, gotta make sure you're spelling it correctly. Dell Publishing Group Incorporated. Oh, something popped up. So that's what this means. Okay, it tells me that I don't need to include the incorporated symbols, which is very, very useful. So you go ahead and erase that. The rest of it seems to be okay. Then you're going to click on year. Again, that C symbol is usually followed by or preceded by or followed by a year. And the year this time is 1993. So we fill that in. Down here, when you're dealing with a book especially or an encyclopedia, there will be a city and state usually listed for the publisher. A lot of the times it's actually New York. There are a lot of publishing companies in Manhattan. So you want to go ahead and maybe look for New York first, but other big cities or smaller cities, London sometimes is in there. And you want to find it and you want to write it here. And for this example today, it is actually New York. So you go ahead and you fill in New York as the city of publication. Scrolling down, we get to edition. Edition means if the work was published more than once. So it's a edition, second edition or third edition publication. This is usually more for classic books that have been published more than once. And you'll probably have 3 different copyright dates, and that would indicate a third edition. But for today, we leave that blank. And there's no series. So this isn't the first in a book series of 7. It's not like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows or things like that, where you'd have to fill in the series name and then the number. This was a standalone book, so you just leave that blank, right? You want to make sure that you go up and that you make sure your spelling is correct, that your capitalization is correct. And as you notice that little warning sign, that there are no warning signs up here. You want to click on them if they are. And as you saw earlier, it will tell you where your error was, and you can go ahead and fix it. Once you're sure that you have accurately placed the information that is relevant for your source, you go ahead, you scroll on down, and you click Submit. What will happen now, and this is a great tool, is the site itself will take that information and put it in a proper citation. So it will capitalize it if you capitalize it correctly. It will place it in the correct order using proper punctuation, and it will save it for you underneath your project name. Okay. If you have more than one source that you need to cite in a piece of writing, all you would need to do is go back to this project and click again on that Create New Citations button in the top left-hand corner, and that drop-down menu will appear once again, asking you to identify what type of source you're dealing with. Okay, that's it. Good luck.